Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. It is the fan forum on a Thursday night. We are missing an important member in Adam. We're not quite sure where he is right now, but he might be joining halfway through. Yeah, we think he might be stuck in traffic, but I've got two wonderful guests anyway, and I love having these two on. So, Kev, how are you? Are you all right this Thursday night?
Very well, thank you. Looking forward, obviously, to the game on Saturday. There's never a shortage of things to talk about when it comes to Manchester United. And this week has been no different, so I'm sure we will chew the bones off it, as they say.
Levin, it feels like at the moment there's a new thing coming out every day. It's quite mental when it surrounds United. How are you and how are you feeling surrounding Manchester United at the moment? It's kind of different moods each day, isn't it? Levin, I think your mic's off. Or is it me?
Can you hear me? Am I good? Never a good day without technical difficulty. I'm good, thank you. I'm good, thank you for asking. Yeah, with United, it doesn't get quiet. Like, just as you think it's starting to maybe calm down a bit, there's something else. So, never a slow day, but I'm looking forward to the game on the weekend, like Kev said, because I'm expecting, a lot of change.
Exactly. I mean, Ronaldo's come out with his comments that we'll get into in a little bit. And I think that puts massive pressure as well on the game at the weekend when someone like that's coming out and basically saying that it's not good enough and the standards aren't good enough. But we've also got a lot of transfer news. I mean, we've got Scott and Shaw that are out for the game on Saturday. So there is a lot to discuss, a lot to get into. But Kev, I'll come to you first, actually. Starting with the transfer news, which I think a lot of people have seen throughout Twitter today, and I think it's really been making the rounds today, is about Donny van der Beek, a midfielder that struggled to get into our starting lineup, struggled to get minutes. When he has got minutes, he seemed to do well, but it's coming from the MEN that apparently Borussia Dortmund are interested in a potential loan move for Donny van der Beek, and also Newcastle are. If you're Manchester United thinking about the lack of midfield options we've got, do you allow him to go on one of them loans, or would you actually want to keep him at Manchester United and hopefully he can get game time? Because our midfield isn't stacked, especially if we don't buy anyone.
I would say from a fan's perspective, I'd be delighted to see Donny van der Beek get game time. Now, I want that to be at Manchester United, and this is a position that we have spoke about loads of times on the United Stand, and we have said we do not understand why Donny van der Beek is not in this team. Why is he not given a chance when it's a part of the team that is certainly not our strongest area? Saying that, if I put my heart to one side and I look at it and I think, what a great opportunity. I think a lot of us would say that we would wish Donny van der Beek all the best if he could go somewhere. Now, I've heard the report about Newcastle. I know a loan move. I don't fancy that. From a selfish point of view, to see him kind of ripping it up in the Premier League, it would prove a point, if anything. But Borussia Dortmund, it would be a massive advantage to them, I would say, and a major loss to Manchester United. We do not know what happens behind the scenes. Does this man go into every training session and have a nightmare Monday through to Friday, and that's why he's not considered? I can't believe that for one minute, man. And you think of the Ajax team he played in, he was brilliant. He was a pivotal part of that. And for some reason, Manchester United bought him. I'm not saying build a team around him, but they have, for some reason or not, we've had two managers. He's played under two different managers, and they're just reluctant to put him into the team. And the mind boggles, because it's an area that we clearly struggle in, and he's never had a run of games. So the disrespect to the man is bringing him on 2-0 down against Manchester City. And everybody's felt sorry for Donny van der Beek. You see him sat in the crowd and he gets sent out to warm up and then he doesn't get on. And you think, what has this guy got to do to get in the team? But from a personal point of view, for Donny van der Beek, what a move. If he's given the chance to go there and show us what we know he can do, I think that's a fantastic move for him on a personal level.
Exactly. It's like when it comes to Donny van der Beek, I've said so many times after watching him in that Ajax side throughout the great Champions League run they had, even in the league, he was a crucial part of that. And he has got talent, he has got ability. He's not really had chance to show it, Levin. And I mean, he's not been picked, a lot of people think, because of the physicality possibly of the Premier League. If you're looking at Newcastle or Borussia Dortmund, two options for him to go to, if he was to go on loan as a Manchester United fan, which one are you are you more interested to see him go to? Because for me, I would like to see him go to Newcastle and see how he would do in the Premier League, watching him week in, week out.
That's interesting. I haven't thought about that, just because honestly, I don't even see him going on loan right now, if I'm being real. But if I was to pick between the two, yeah, I think Newcastle will be a fun one because they're fighting to stay up, right? And he would add a lot of quality that they sort of need in the middle of the park. We know they got Joe Linton there who can put in a job. He showed that, but adding Donny van der Beek wouldn't be too bad for them. At Dortmund, of course, like Dortmund are like a great team. Like they're second in the Bundesliga right now, I think. They've been a bit rocky, and so I don't know how that would go. Like, I don't know right now if he goes into a team and instantly starts, and I think wherever he goes, we'd want him to be getting the game time he's not getting here. But I'll be real, Beth, I don't think he's going to go anytime soon, I'll be real. Maybe we start to see things pick up, but I think Donny's more likely to stay right now.
Well, exactly. I agree. At this point in the season, if we don't bring anyone else in, it would be stupid of us to let him go. Like, seriously, it would be stupid. Then the only options you've really got in that pivot role are Matic, Fred, and McTominay, which isn't enough for the rest of the season. It really isn't. Although Donny doesn't seem to get game time over anything, and we'll get into it later on, but I'll be shocked if he starts at the weekend as well. So it is a hard one for him to take. Apparently, it's coming out from the MEN as well that he wants to leave. I think he's open to leaving on loan. He wants to show what he can do. But at the moment, with the lack of midfield options, Rangnick isn't sure whether to let this happen. And you would be the same if you were a coach. I mean, if we possibly do make a move for a midfielder, we get a Zakaria in, we get one of them midfielders that isn't on the massively the top of the radar, but Ralph Rangnick likes them. They're a cheap price, and maybe they might let him go out on loan. But at the moment, it does seem like it's going to be a standstill for him, which is unfortunate because I think he should go out on loan. I think he should show what he can do to Manchester United. I wouldn't want to sell him because I think it'd be wasted talent. He's been here for this long. I'd like to see him eventually get into that first team, but we'll have to wait and see what the plans are for him for the rest of the season. Ralph Rangnick hasn't implemented his plans fully yet. Donny van der Beek might get a chance the more the season goes on. We're not sure, but we'll have to see. Moving on to other transfer news, Kev. This is an interesting one, actually, that I've only just saw when Ryan was sending me over the transfer stuff to do for the show. And it's Dean Henderson. Apparently, it's coming out now that Ralph Rangnick was told Dean Henderson that he would pick him for the Aston Villa game, but that didn't happen. And Henderson stormed out of the training centre. If this did happen, which I'm a little bit like, would a professional really storm out over something like that? I'm not too sure. If this did happen, do you understand Henderson's point of view? And do you understand why he would be so upset and why he kind of needs to leave as well for the same reasons as Donny van der Beek?
If I was manager, I would never play him again. You just touched on the word there, professionalism, right? And you have to have that as a professional footballer. If you cannot cope with the fact that you are not being picked for a game, then I'm sorry, but to storm off like that, I think that's totally unprofessional, if anything. And with Dean Henderson, the thing with him is he come back from Sheffield United. We heard all this thing that he thinks he's a better keeper than De Gea. He was there to fight for his place in the team. Fair enough. I get that. I like the confidence of the guy and that, but for me, it's quickly become apparent that he is levels below David De Gea. David De Gea has managed to step up to different levels that we probably didn't even think he could, which is testament to the man himself. But from Dean Henderson, if that is true, I would say that stinks of he's basically trying to instigate a move away from Manchester United. And it's a far cry from giving it the big one when he come to United, which was all, I'm going to fight for my team, I'm getting this #1 jersey and that. So I would have liked him to have fought for a place in the team. But this thing doesn't help at Manchester United at the minute. There's no smoke without fire, as they say. And the stories that are coming out on a daily basis from Manchester United, it doesn't make for good reading as a United fan. There is clearly unrest all the way through that squad. And that's the worrying thing at the minute.
Where did that report come from?
It came from, Ryan sent it me, it was from Webby O'Neill on Twitter, apparently. I mean, obviously it's not like a journalist source, but he has links with the club. They both have links with the club. So I'm not sure if it is true, but it's something that it was told to report on. So I mean, if it is true, Levin, just quickly on this one, because it might be a bit of a nothing story. Like, it's one of them where I don't know if I can see Dean Henderson starring out of Carrington, but you never know. You never know. He was very confident he'd get the number 1 spot. Do you think it is the end for Henderson at Manchester United? Do you think that's it? Do you think it's done? Do you think he's going to leave?
Yeah, I'll say I'm not buying it, to be fair. Look, I saw a picture today.
You can take it up with Webby O'Neill, you know. You can take it with them.
Fair enough. Like, fair enough. I ain't saying people are lying or whatnot. You know, I'm not going to disrespect someone's craft or whatever. But, you know, we saw the pictures, the typical pictures they do at training and stuff. And Henderson was in the winning team. By the way, Ahmed, of course. Ahmed always on the winning team, just saying. Look, that doesn't seem like something that anybody with any sort of sense should do. You know, like, that's very unprofessional. And that's the kind of thing where if he actually did do that, right, like, that's one of those things where I'd expect the club to actually let that be more known that happens, just to almost swing the narrative, right? Because we've seen this with loads of clubs where if there is a player that they feel is even having any sort of misconduct, even if it's a player that's not actually done anything wrong, to spin the narrative and to sort of protect the club, they'll make it seem like that player's the villain. And so if Dean Henderson was doing something that like egregious, I would expect it to be sort of more known and more sort of out there that, you know, he did this, right? Like, clearly he's like, you know, we can't have him at the club. That's why we're not playing him, because he's got a bad attitude. You know what I mean? Like, I'd expect it to be more that. I do think, though, when it comes to Dean Henderson, is his time up? Probably. I think with the way Ralph talked about De Gea, it's clear that you know, he's very fond of De Gea and he's impressed by him. And unfortunately for Dean, that means he's not going to get the playing time he wants, and probably does deserve. Like, I don't think Dean Henderson. Why did I say that? I don't think Dean Henderson should be our starting goalkeeper, if I'm being honest. But he should be a starting goalkeeper at a professional football club somewhere. Like, he's good enough quality to be doing that. But unfortunately, he's not here, so he's probably got to move on sometime soon.
Would you be bothered if you left? I'm guessing you wouldn't be.
I'll be real with you, Beth. I'll be completely real with you. I would not be bothered if a lot of players left.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is the vibe at the minute. The only thing that's happened around Henderson for me, which slightly, obviously, I was a fan of Henderson. Everyone knows that. The only thing about it for me that would bother me is if he went elsewhere and he literally started tearing it up. He was this like modern goalkeeper that he was portrayed to be. To be fair, when it comes to the thing is, though, even if he did that, De Gea has been unreal this season. So it's not as if you're losing someone that you've got someone amazing in that position anyway. So it wouldn't be a massive problem. Another thing, Levin, just to finish up on you for the moment that I wanted to ask you is, you know, Zakaria, have you spoke about him on the show since all the rumours have been happening?
No, I don't think so.
I just wanted to then ask you quickly, because I know you're into all your stats, you're into all your European football and all the different leagues. Do you rate the Zakaria signing if it was going to happen? And what do you think he would bring to this Manchester United team?
Yeah, so with Zakaria, I've watched Zakaria a couple times this season and in general over the past couple of years, not because I've gone out my way to watch Gladbach play, I quite frankly not, but I've watched games where they are the opposing team playing, I'll be real, like, Zakaria is an okay, you know, defensive midfielder in my eyes. Like, I don't think he's phenomenal. I don't think he's bad. Is he someone who I would add to the squad? Yeah, like, I always said, we need 2 midfielders, right? Like, we know we need 2, because if you get the one and that one gets injured, you're back to what you already had. And in my ideal world, like, Zakaria is the kind of guy who is like the second midfielder you get, right? Like, not the main one that's like the shiny toy, for example, but he is like the sort of other one you get. And at the price point, yeah, like, bring him in. I think the big reason why, like, I don't mind it, even though, like, I'm not wowed by Zakaria by any means, is he definitely offers, like, the tactical flexibility that I've been talking about, where he can play as a single pivot, whereas currently none of our players really can do that in, like, a high intensity system. So you bring him in and he at least gives you that flexibility to play like a 4-3-3 or whatever it is you want to play. So yeah, I'm cool with the whole Zakaria talks. I do actually hope it happens, especially at that price point. And I did see the Gladbach CEO said something today about how he wouldn't rule out Zakaria leaving this window. So hopefully we can see things develop.
Exactly. This is the thing. People complain about the Zakaria move. For me, I think just about anyone right now, and obviously that's like a bit tongue in cheek, but literally anyone would improve the midfield. And if he can make us be able to play a 4-3-3 and use our players that are more box to box to a better standard, then I'd be so down for that. I think we need 2 midfielders anyway, if not 3 in the summer. So getting one in now, I think it takes some pressure off the summer and also helps us for the rest of the season. Adam, you finally decided to join us. I mean,
13 minutes late.
I'm usually late when Adam. What's happened?
I'm catching up to your total for the season of late shows, Seth. That's it. I'm just doing it in one show. No, only joke. Yeah, there was a little mix-up on the time. And yeah, my phone had a spaz out in terms of updates. So yeah, moving on swiftly. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but yeah, ask away.
We're talking about football. Beth, I did want to quickly say, on the Zakaria thing as well. I get why people are worried, because I think people fear that we get Zakaria and then the club doesn't get another midfielder after that. It's like, oh, we get Zakaria, that's done. Don't need a midfielder now for 5 years. You know what I mean? And if that's what happens, that would be an issue, right? But hopefully that's not the case.
Exactly. So, for example, if we got Zakaria this January, we went on and got another established CDM in the summer, that would improve our squad depth massively, and it would help us this season. And it's only 6 million, and the Glazers took double out that this window. So I think United and the club deserve this signing, and I think it should happen. Moving on to super chats. Samuel Coley said, "I'm sorry, but David De Gea is El Gato." Oh, that one's just expired. I cannot see it. But David De Gea is very good. I admit that. There you go. He's on the screen. He single-handedly kept us relevant one season with his saves. Maybe the season we barely scraped through. I agree. I think he's been a great player this season, and I do think he's a great player, but there's no doubt that he did have a dip in form. His form is back. I'm happy about that. I think he's got a great mentality. He's got a great attitude, and he's our number one, and that is why Henderson is probably going to leave. And Khalid says, what are your thoughts on Garner being our go-to CDM next season? Personally, for me, he's not ready yet, but I'd like to see him at a Prem side next season. In a Prem side, getting 90 minutes every game, I think that'd be massive for him. Adam, you spoke about on the last show how you don't think him coming back to United right now would be a good move. Are you still on that thought?
Yeah, simply, funnily enough, I was talking to Ricky about this today, talking about the right time for young players to come through. I think it's slightly unfair, and the expectation on the players coming through on their own into a team which is underperforming isn't really ideal for them. And then people will look at them and go, oh, well, he's not that good, is he, after all? You know what I mean? What do you expect them to do, and how do you expect them to influence the game with so many seasoned pros failing around him? That's a bit unfair. That's how I look at the younger players coming through. If there was a few at once, yeah, I could see that. But Garner, I say give him pre-season. Let's see how he does in the summer. Let him stay where he is. He's building his confidence up at Nottingham Forest. He's doing really well. And he'll toughen himself up there in the Championship as well. And I think he'll be even more ready by the time pre-season comes around. And then let the new manager have a look at everyone in pre-season, and we'll take it from there. But I like Garner. I always have. I watched him in pre-season live. I thought he was decent. Still a bit raw, but that with the right manager and coaching coming in the summer and what he's learned so far this season at Forest, it's only going to get better for him. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses past this season. So yeah, I would say summer Beth for someone like Garner. I think that would be ideal, just to get him on a pre-season tour, get him playing with the first team in a less pressure cooker environment for now. And then I would sort of slot him in. It's going to be interesting to see which of the youngsters hang around when the new manager comes in the summer as well. That's going to be key, I think.
It is going to be interesting. I've said it time and time again, this summer is going to be quite a big one for Manchester United. It feels like we say that every summer, but this one really is new manager, it is going to be a new philosophy, new transfers. Players are going to leave, players are going to stay, and we're going to get hopefully a complete change around Manchester United. And I'm excited to see what happens. Moving on to another story that came out today, just so we can touch on all the stories before we get on to the Aston Villa news and before we get on to Ronaldo's comments, which I think everyone does want to talk about. Kev, apparently Phil Jones, it wasn't the case that he was injured for the FA Cup match. More of a case he was being rested, protected due to obviously his injuries in the past and how bad that was. And there is a possibility that he could actually start against Aston Villa in the league on Saturday. This is coming out from the Talks of the Devils podcast, just so we can get the source in there. Do you think with Phil Jones, he has any chance of getting into that Manchester United team on Saturday, or do you think Maguire does come straight back in?
I know we will get on to team selection for Saturday, but written in there at centre-back, in my team, I've got Phil Jones, which probably tells you everything you need to know about my thoughts on Phil Jones. And I am not getting carried away. There's a hell of a lot of people that are saying that I'm on the Phil Jones bandwagon because he played well against Wolves. But you know what? I'm on the bandwagon. I don't mind saying it. I was massively, massively impressed that lad has not played football or a professional game of football, top flight football, for nearly 2 years and putting a performance like that. And I've said it highlights our problem. It puts Harry Maguire into perspective. That's why I would choose him over him. Obviously, we'll get into that debate anyway. And I would definitely have Phil Jones in there. I think people can say he's a bit of a passion merchant and all that, but maybe we're missing a bit of that, a bit of steel at the back. I like Phil Jones. He puts his head on the line. He literally does put his head on the line, doesn't he? Flies into stuff. He's courageous. He's got a mistake in him, but hopefully if he can put them injury problems past him, you know, he's a half decent player to throw into the mix. Again, I don't know whether we're going to discuss it. Eric Bailly, I can't get my head around the fact that Manchester United we even entertained the thought of letting Eric Bailly go in a position that we're weak in, aren't we? It only takes one sort of defensive injury and we're back to square one. It's shocking management that if they were to let him go.
Well, this is the thing about, I mean, I don't think we're going to let Bailly go, but then rumours did get shut down pretty quickly. But I think Bailly's definitely going to want to go in the summer with the right things go on. I mean, he can't get a game. I know he obviously came back from the AFCON and came back and played for us. But realistically, when you look at all the options, he can't get a game. But with the injuries that we've had, it would be stupid to sell him now. And I think Manchester United won't do that. It's the same with the Donny story. Donny obviously wants to leave. And clubs want him to come, but Manchester United aren't comfortable letting him go if they don't have a replacement for him. So I think you'll see these players stay, and I think they'll still be unhappy. And Levin, possibly, this is a reason for why the mood at Manchester United is the way it is. And with Ronaldo's comments coming out, I mean, I'm guessing you have watched the interview.
Yeah. So it's hard to avoid it, to be fair, but yeah, I've seen it.
So watching that interview, obviously Phil Jones, I know we've been harping on about Phil Jones, but he was a player that played in Ferguson's reign. He knows what it does take. He has that attitude. We've seen stuff come out about his mentality, and it's very, very, very nice to see, to be honest. He might not have all of the talent that's there, but he has the mentality. When you look at Ronaldo's comments, just a quick overview of what you think he was trying to achieve with that interview and how he perceives the squad right now at the moment.
Yeah, I think people need to take a moment to understand Ronaldo's perspective and Ronaldo's journey as a player. Ronaldo was someone who came to our club, was very raw, very talented, obviously, but he had to be whipped into shape by a lot of the senior players, right? And you know, he was quickly made to understand what it's about and what being a professional is about. And, you know, he was quickly, made to understand the hierarchy within a squad. And, you know, you're the young blood coming in. Yeah, you might be talented. You might even be better than some of the older players, but you got to earn your dues. You got to show some respect. And there's been consistent themes throughout his whole career. I'm sure Real Madrid as well. You know, even though there would have been young players coming up who maybe were put on a pedestal. For the most part, any young players coming up through Real Madrid system, they're probably looking in awe at some of the footballing gods that they were seeing playing in the starting. Even at Juventus, it would have been similar, where young players coming up through there, you're seeing people like Chiellini, Bonucci, people that have just been there, Buffon, people that have been there for years and years, and thinking, all right, like, they're going to whip me into shape. Whereas it's quite clear to see at United, just due to a combination of our lack of success, a lack of leadership in our squad for the past sort of 10 years, you know, some of our younger players have been put on pedestals that they wouldn't be at other clubs, or that they wouldn't have been if they had joined when Ronaldo joined. So coming back, he must be seeing it and thinking, some of these youngers, you don't respect, bruv. Like, you gotta I couldn't do the things you guys were doing. I had people telling me, like, you know, I need to fix up. And of course, that's going to be something that I think he was very honest about in the interview. And I'm glad he was honest about it. You know, I'm very glad he was honest about it. I like the way he speak, because it's clear he wasn't being disrespectful. Like, he even made comments about things and how he needs to change and improve. But, you know, he stayed respectful and he was very honest about the situation at the club. And I think it's no surprise any of the things he's saying. We've all sort of come to this realization throughout a lot of the season that there are players in the squad who, you know, they clearly don't understand that dynamic between veteran respect and, you know, young talent coming up and being open to learn.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll just read out this super chat and then I'll move that on to you, Adam. So we've got a super chat here saying we've got the wrong players in positions of power and useful players, e.g. Bayer, are paying the price. Ralph Rangnick kicks out the rotten car and works with the rest. I mean, I agree that we've got a few players with quite a lot of power, and you wonder to yourself, should they be allowed to have the power that they have? But unfortunately, that's just how Manchester United has been run, and that's the way it is due to how badly it's been run and how much power they've given these players. I mean, Adam, when you look at the two contrasting stories coming out, and I don't want to. I'm a big fan of Rashford, but I wasn't impressed with the PR article and things that have been coming out around that. I don't know if it was done by his PR team or whatever, but you look at, there's an article basically full of excuses. And that's what it is. There's an article full of excuses. And I understand he's trying to say, I want to get back to my best. I'm training really hard. I'm staying after for training. He doesn't want the negativity around the fact he doesn't try. And I think we all can understand that he definitely is trying hard. But it still felt to me that it was quite a few excuses. And then you've got Ronaldo coming out and doing this interview, basically calling people out, saying he wants to say more, but he doesn't think it's etiquette to do so, which is so professional. And it was basically just 25 minutes of him saying that the standards are nowhere near where they should be and they need to be back up. Does that show you the difference in players and the difference in experience? Rashford's got ability and he can definitely progress, but Ronaldo's leadership and experience of winning things is showing through there, surely.
Yeah, I'm just going to read out that one of Ronaldo quotes. We are here to help them, the youngsters, when they need my help. My support, my advice, I will be the number one to help, but if they don't want my help, do your job, which is basically saying perform better. And if you don't want to listen to me, then you don't belong at this football club if you can't do your job, for me. Look at yourself and do your best to help the team. That's what he's saying. Basically, Ronaldo is going back to, like Levin said, when he first started at the football club, what he had to go through. And let's not forget, Ronaldo in his first season, everyone sees the hype of the Bolton game when he first made his debut, but he was poor. He was learning his trade. He wasn't fantastic in his first season at Manchester United, but what he's saying in this interview, Beth, is he listened. He took the advice from the senior players who won everything in his eyes. Now, Ronaldo has won everything there possibly is to win, apart from a World Cup, in the game of football. If you cannot take inspiration or advice from a man that has been around the globe, performed at the highest level at every single league that is relevant in the world, then you do not belong at Manchester United. All right, Ronaldo says, do your job, shut up whining, like you said then, Beth, basically, with the excuses. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is. I think he's taking a full-on jab at the younger players. I think he's hitting at Rashford and Greenwood and these players. I think this is where it's aimed at, because he sees the talent. He clearly sees the talent. And it's like Levin said, you need someone with that sort of thrust, someone with the balls to come out and say something like this, because who is going to question the man that's won everything? How can you question someone who's been through exactly what every single one of these young players at this football club has been through? You can't. You look at that interview as a United player now, and I can see why Ralph would say, get out there and do this interview. I can see why he would do it. I could see, because when I watched that interview, I was like, that's a strong jab. That's a shot fired big time there. That's how I seen it. I thought, okay, that's basically putting the ball in the youngsters' court or the other players' court as well. Let's not just pick out the youngsters, because McTominay's 26 now. You know what I mean? He's classed as one of the younger players still. This now is said, look, take my advice. I will help you. I will guide you through while I'm here, what I know best. And I know exactly where you have been. But Ronaldo's situation was probably harder with the characters that were already there. The expectation level on him from these players is what drove him. if these players can't react from this now, and they're doing everything they possibly can here, the likes of Ronaldo, probably Rangnick and the other coaches, to say, look, you have to start taking responsibility for your performances. Otherwise, you don't belong at this football club. If you can't hack it, if you can't take a bit of criticism, then this isn't for you. You haven't won anything. No one at this football club has won anything apart from the players that we bring in. So why is that? It's because you've got the wrong mentality. I go on about mentality constantly. And Ronaldo mentions it in there. They haven't got the mentality. They need to be as one. They need to all be thinking on the same wavelength. And it's quite clear that they're not. It's quite clear that they're not. They're all thinking individually. We can criticise Greenwood's performance in not passing, Rashford's performance. There's a load of players you can criticise out there. But what Ronaldo is saying is, put up or shut up. Now is the time. He expects United to be finishing top 4 this season. I don't. So unless they listen to someone like Ronaldo,
third he expects.
Yeah, third. That's what he expects.
And that just shows his kind of mentality, really. So to even be expecting to still get third, I mean, I think it's a massive target for the players. But whether they'll take it, we'll soon find out.
You will. I will. It starts this weekend, and I'm not confident.
I'm the thing is, for me, there's no doubt about it. When Ronaldo came in, after the first couple of games, he'll have been saying to the wide players, you need to get more crosses in the box. Even the fullbacks, you need to get more crosses in the box. There's no doubt about that. Have we seen an improvement in crosses in the box? We've not at all. It's been the same. These players have been playing the same type of football. And that, for me, shows ignorance, surely. Because he will have been telling them to do that. There's no doubt about it. So if you're going to carry on playing your same game, carry on frustrating, you saw Ronaldo's face when they go to shoot instead of cross it to him. At times when they should cross it. It's never, if they've got chances to shoot, fair enough, go for it. But there's times when they should cross it, and there has been some greed there, and there has been some wrong decisions made. And you've seen Ronaldo's face, and for me, that'll be the face of someone who's told them to do something different, and he's been completely ignored. So I can understand the frustration, and I think it was a very, very good thing to do, and the way he put that interview was perfect, and it give the fans reassurance that it is the mentality of some of these players that does need changing. Moving on to another quote, Kev, Cristiano Ronaldo, it's not that easy to change the mentality of players, the way they play, the system and the culture like that. So I believe that Rangnick, he's going to do a good job. Basically saying that it's not going to be hard to turn this around quickly, and Rangnick's got a big job to do. Is that showing that when he first came into the club, everything surrounding mentality, the style of play, the system, culture was wrong?
Yeah, it's everything as supporters we feared, but deep down we knew was happening at Manchester United. And the Ronaldo comments, I think it's sensational. I mean, he is speaking as a supporter. The difference is, I love Roy Keane. When he comes out, if we're in defeat, he does not hold back. He comes out both barrels and he'll let you know everything because he's talking as a supporter. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo, there's no doubt he is a supporter of Manchester United. He's living out his dream by playing at Manchester United. The difference is, because he's playing for Manchester United now, as Adam quite rightly says, I mean, he's won everything. It doesn't matter. Now, he can come out and basically, within reason, which is what he's done, come out and say what the hell he wants. And if you don't like it, do you think Cristiano Ronaldo would be bothered? He is telling us nothing that we do not know about this current crop of players. And you look at Roy Keane, who was ushered out of Manchester United for making comments, but he named players on MUTV, and that VHS went into an incinerator and nobody ever got to see what he said. Apparently it was about likes of Kieran Richardson, players like that. Now, if you like a player like Kieran Richardson, who had the world at his feet, was supposedly the next big thing, and then put him against a player like Marcus Rashford, who's bang out of form at the minute, maybe he's looking at that and thinking, I don't want these lads have got a great opportunity in Manchester United. If they don't take it with both hands now, they'll be out the door. And that's exactly what is going to happen. We've said it before. Rangnick has come in. He's shaken things up, and the players do not like it. It's how they respond to it now. Ronaldo has come out with these comments at a great time, and it's almost like, who's with me? If you're not with me for the ride, then leave. And I agree with everything he said. I don't think it's put the cat amongst the pigeons, but I don't see it being a bad story in a way. If anything, these footballers now at Manchester United need to use that as motivation. If Ronaldo is telling you, you can do it, you can change your mentality, we can get through this. And more importantly, Rangnick is the man. So that's Ronaldo already stating that this man is a good manager. You can't go far wrong, can you? There's so many players that need to step up. Take the words of Cristiano Ronaldo as inspiration and use it. Because when he signed for Manchester United, everybody was on about, look, they'll be looking up to Ronaldo and this and that. And it seems to have fizzled out a bit now. But they need to look at Ronaldo. Look at the shape he's in. The fact he's not at the top of his game, but by God, he's still a hell of a lot better than a hell of a lot of players in the Premier League and in world football. And he's still doing the business. He is still doing it. And he doesn't want to be at Manchester United for a swan song. He wants to be here to win trophies because that man is driven by winning individual awards and club awards. And that's all he wants to do. And God love him. Kev loves him.
Well, this is the thing as well. I thought his comment saying he's not here to be 6th or 7th, or he wants to fight for the top leagues and the top trophies. For me, I thought that was kind of suggesting that some players at the club are a bit too comfortable in the positions, and he wants to move on to the next level, and he needs everyone to follow with his mindset. And I was talking about it the other day. If everyone in that team, they don't have to have the same ability as Ronaldo. If everyone in that team had the same mentality as Ronaldo, we wouldn't have a problem fighting for the major trophies this year. We wouldn't have a problem. It is a mentality issue, and hopefully that changes. But moving on to kind of the style of play with Ronaldo in this team 11, you've got Ronaldo, who clearly isn't happy about the way things are going. He wants improvement. You've got him playing as a striker, and then you've got Rashford and Greenwood typically probably playing as the wingers. Greenwood been named as one of the best finishers at the club. His instinct is to cut in and shoot. Rashford comes out, his best position he sees cutting in on the left and shooting. Is this a problem if you're Cristiano Ronaldo and you're in the box and you're wanting service and you've got two wingers that can't create for you? If you've got Ronaldo in this team, do you see us having to change either the players, or do they need to be coached on how to play as wingers that are going to supply arguably one of the best players in the world?
Yeah, you're always going to have a problem when you have two players, two wide players whose instinct is to sort of score. They are more so strikers in a way, right? They're the inside forward type players. Typically, right, in squads that would have that, maybe you would have a number 9 who's more of a link man, right, who can link the play a lot better. And Ronaldo isn't really that at this stage in his career. So, yeah, I think once again, it probably does reflect on the situation in the summer where it was sort of just like, oh my God, Ronaldo's available, let's get him. Where it's not, it wasn't as planned out as it wasn't like from the start of the summer we were going, let's get Ronaldo, right? And we're working towards that. But at the same time, you can still make it work, right? Because, you can give your fullbacks a heavier importance in terms of creating. Of course, there are other players we can play, right? Sancho and the likes of, Donny on the pitch allow for more creation. So I think you can make it work. I get in terms of like, oh yeah, we're going to have some problems. Maybe you lose certain things if you don't play certain people. But ultimately, this isn't a situation that I think is impossible to make work. But at the end of the day, you need players to do the basics, right? And I think Ronaldo's interview emphasizes the fact that, before we can get onto even some of the things that the manager has to fix and work on, certain players need to get their head in the game, right? We need to be able to execute basic things on the football pitch before we can even start to address why, our press isn't working or what shape do we need. You know what I mean? Like, these are all things that have been an issue for a while now this season under Rangnick and under Oli. So, yeah, of course, is it ideal having those two profiles of players on the wings when you have Ronaldo? Probably not. But it's not beyond making work. Like, we don't have to just throw it all away and start again. Like, we can still make this work.
We can. And another thing that kind of restricts from Ronaldo's game, Adam, is the fact, last game for me anyway, I was enjoying the link up between Dalot and Greenwood on that right hand side. And Dalot as well, we know that he can overlap. We know that he can get crossed into the box. The same with Shaw. For me, it looked like they were reluctant to do so. And possibly because they're scared of leaving only two in midfield, getting overrun, which I think is the reason why. Fullbacks, they should be overlapping. They should be crosses in the box. If you look at all the top teams in the Premier League, they're putting way more crosses in than our fullbacks on a daily game basis. You've got wingers that aren't putting in crosses. You've got fullbacks that aren't putting in crosses. Is this part of the game that does need to change if you're going to keep playing Ronaldo and trying to get the best out of him? Because at the moment, if you think about it, the goals he's scoring, he's basically got a hand tied behind his back and he's still scoring all these goals.
Well, this is it. We've got two converted wingers in Rashford and Greenwood. They're both under pressure to perform. They're both making the wrong decisions at the moment. And we know they both can play better than what they are. In terms of if Ronaldo is playing, then yeah, I said it before. I said it, I think, in a vlog where after the game I said Rangnick needs to make a decision. If he is persisting with Ronaldo, then he has to change the wingers. He has to put someone else in there because, lo and behold, when you play quick flowing football, you put the ball into the box the first time, a striker can feed off that, and that's where strikers thrive. Fred puts the ball in first time, lo and behold, we score a header. I can't remember the last header we scored. I think it was Ronaldo in the Champions League, in fact. This is when you put a ball in the box the first time, the defence can't get set. I was talking to Ricky about this today. I remember Alan Shearer, back when Radamel Falcao was playing. A player went down the wing, he cut back and then crossed it, and he was praised for playing the ball backwards to the edge of the box. When Shearer said, look, if I'm a striker, I want that ball in, first chance they can get, into the box. That's when the defence aren't set, and that's what I thrive on. That's what Cavani thrives. That's what Ronaldo, they both do. We've got two of the best strikers that the planet's ever seen, and we can't use them because we're playing two other strikers who have been converted by Ole to thinking there's something that they're not. And this is the problem now. They either accept that they've got a role in this team, like Ronaldo says, and they play as a team and we're all on the same page, because Ronaldo's getting at the way. If he's playing and he's one of the greatest goal scorers the game's ever seen, then you're going to have to cross to him. Ronaldo's saying this for himself as well, for the team, because he knows, look, I've won everywhere I've been, and I've been a big part of that winning team. If you want to win medals as a team, you have to play this way if I'm playing in this team, because if you don't, it's not going to work. And we're seeing it now. Cavani and Ronaldo exactly the same. Greenwood's a striker. If he's playing on the wing, I'd rather him be on the bench. It's quite simple. I'd rather him be on the bench. Sancho needs to be on the right, and maybe that's where we need to spend money. Then you go into the summer and you make a massive, massive decision and say, look, if Cavani's out, my next striker is Greenwood. No one else comes in. Yeah. Then you go and invest in wingers who are going to make that work, and you buy in your defensive midfielder and your midfielders. This is where, and what Ronaldo's getting at for me, he's literally saying, look, if I'm on the pitch, which we know he's going to be, we have to change how we're playing. I've seen Bruno pointing down the line to Rashford. I've seen Luke Shaw pointing down the line to Rashford. Overlap. No, he just wouldn't do it. And this was with him out of possession. He wouldn't even make the run. Never mind him on the ball and cutting inside. He would not make that run. I've seen it several times. Greenwood a bit better, but eventually always cut in and had the shot. And yeah, we hit the target, but they were poor efforts. So for me, if Greenwood's going to play, he plays as a striker. There's a round peg, put it in the round hole. Stop trying to find the square hole because it's not working. They're not good enough to play on the wing if Ronaldo's playing. For me, Greenwood's a striker. Rashford needs time out anyway. He's just beyond at the moment for me. And this is the tough task that you said, Beth, that Rangnick's got to deal with right now. It's going to have to upset an awful lot of people. Ronaldo's number one. It's quite clear. The interview wouldn't have been let or allowed to come out if he wasn't. He's playing. So we play to Ronaldo's strength. Otherwise, we're going to be 6th and 7th where we are now.
Well, this is a problem. This is what we've been going on about for so long. We've got a team of individuals, not necessarily a team that fits and gels well together. Super chat here from Sky too. Ronaldo at Real Madrid, wingers always serve the ball. And then obviously the one that you can see on the screen, I feel like it's just, we've been going round in this circle of playing these players out of the positions to the point where now they, like you said, Adam, they think it's the position when it's not. And I think we need to play players where they best suit and what best fits the team. And hopefully we start to see that happening. And if that isn't happening, then you need to coach these players to actually play to how a winger should be playing it and cross the ball. But it's hard when these players' first instinct is to shoot because they have them striker instincts. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Kev, moving on to the Aston Villa game. Scott McTominay's out, Luke Shaw's out. We want to win this game. It's going to be very hard to win this game, especially after seeing the poor performance at Old Trafford. We got through, we won that game, but when you're at Villa Park, it's going to be different. It's going to their midfield is going to run through our midfield if we play the way that we did, and they're going to get chances and they're going to finish them. We were very lucky to get through that 1-0. What changes are you making to your team? Who has to play and who comes in for Scott and Shaw for you?
Well, Tellez walks into the team. I think called up first time in a while, wasn't it, for Brazil this week, which is good for him on a personal level. So I've got no problem with Tellez coming in for Luke Shaw. I would partner Phil Jones and Varane at the back. Don't be laughing at me as well. I'm being serious here. I can't believe I'm saying it, man, after all the jokes we made about Phil Jones, eh? And I would...
You're the main culprit, Kev.
I know. I feel awful. Sorry, Phil, if you're watching. Dallo right back as well. I would throw into the... Well, you've got no McTominay, which would have been interesting because I think McTominay versus McGinn was quite an intriguing kind of battle. I am looking... A lot of people I know are going to throw Matic in there. I would play with a two of out of favour Donny van der Beek and Fred. I think Fred's got the legs for the game. And I know we're down to the bare bones trying to select, a partnership in that midfield. But I'm just thinking something a little bit different. Maybe Bruno a little bit further forward so that can drop into a three-man midfield. If Sancho is fit, he goes on the right. Because for me, he's the best, probably the only right winger, natural right winger, which is another head's gone. You spend that much money on a right-sided player, and everybody seems to stick him out on the left. It's like
it's so frustrating.
You see him at Borussia Dortmund, he did play his best football from the right-hand side. Solskjaer signed him, stuck him out on the left, and it's like, as Adam correctly just said, it's round pegs in square holes, innit? We need to get back to playing players in their preferred position. It's all about balance. On the left-hand side, if Martial was fit, that would be my choice moving forward. But I've stuck Greenwood in there. Rashford's nowhere near that team. And depending who's fit up top then, it would be a choice of Cavani or Ronaldo. Now, if Ronaldo's fit, I would play Ronaldo. If not, it's not bad to have a Cavani. I wouldn't like to start the two of them. I think it does come down to balance. And the fact we just played Aston Villa, and personally, I think we were outplayed for the majority of that game. There needs to be some kind of a foothold in that midfield battle. And I think if you're playing two up front, it kind of takes it out the game. You get Cavani dropping very deep, ineffective. So that's my thinking behind it anyway.
I like that team. I mean,
and De Gea in that, obviously. Sorry.
The midfield is going to be a struggle. And thinking about it, and I know it's only Scott McTominay that's out, but to be fair, he has been playing better. He's been scoring goals. The midfield still is nowhere near good enough, and that's just facts. But when you look at the options, Levin, there's not much there. Who are you replacing for Scott in that midfield?
I'm not playing a midfield two because I don't think we're going to be playing a midfield two, just simply because you hear the things Rangnick himself was saying, and when you've watched our games, it's quite clear that we too easily get overrun with a two midfield. He himself said once we brought Donny into the game, we switched to a diamond to match Villa, and we had a lot more control. 2 games in a row, he's changed his formation mid-game, right, from the 4-2-2. To start again with the 4-2-2, I think would be quite unlikely. I think we'll see a midfield. I don't know. I think either we'll play a midfield 3 where we play Matic, Fred, and Donny, or we'll have like a diamond again. I do expect Ronaldo to start. I feel like after that interview, I feel like he is going to start. But of course, we're not sure whether he'll be ready with the injury and whatnot. I would like to see Sancho back in the team as well. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see a 2. So you're going to have to play Matic, Fred, Donny in some capacity, I think.
Just a quick one on that. I saw Dallo's injury on I think I saw it on your Instagram story, actually, Adam. Dallo's injury.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, in the game at that point, I was worried that he was going to come off, and I really wanted him to stay on. He's only just come back into the team, but I think he's doing very, very well. Just a quick one, because I want to ask people now. Levin, is Dallo your preference at right back over Wan-Bissaka at the minute?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think it's become quite clear, unfortunately, for Wan-Bissaka that Dalot naturally just has more of a presence going forward, and he offers a threat off the right. And especially when in a better defensive system, he's not left as exposed. People always question Dalot's defensive ability, but our defensive structure has been better since Carrick's come in, right? So, you know, he doesn't get exposed as much. Dalot still has stuff to work on in terms of his intensity when pressing and being able to help push up high and be aggressive. But, you know, outside of that, Wan-Bissaka still has similar issues in that sense as well. So there's nothing really Wan-Bissaka has other than, you know, just raw defensive ability, the ability to be good in one-on-ones over Dalot right now. So yeah, definitely Dalot.
I can't actually believe that Dalot was shut out for so long under Solskjaer. Well, since he's been playing, I've been like, this is a right back I've been wanting for so long. Someone that's actually going to link up, someone's going to get crosses in, and I think defensively he's been pretty sound as well. To be honest, Adam. Looking forward to Saturday. Scott's out, Shaw's out. What formation for starters are you playing? I mean, Elanga came on, and I thought he was pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie, he'd have a shout for me. I mean, we play Rashford for his pace. He's very pacey, and he looked very live when he came on. Thinking about the Ronaldo interview, what's happened, what changes are you making if you're Ralph looking towards the Aston Villa game on Saturday?
Yeah, I think our team pretty much takes care of itself in a way. Obviously, Tellez comes in for Luke Shaw, and Matic would have started anyway, even if McTominay was fit. I do believe. Sorry? Do
you think it'll be Matic and Fred?
I hope it's not. It's our worst combination. For me, I think it has to be Matic and Donny. I don't think you're going to out-battle. We haven't got physicality. Rangnick keeps going on about it all the time. The only physicality we've got is Scott McTominay, and that's limited at best. So you're going to have to change the game. You're going to have to change the way you approach it. You're going to have to try and control the game more. Listen, Steven Gerrard waltzed into Old Trafford the other day with a swag. You are going to get Gerrard on steroids at weekend. It doesn't really matter what team you're playing. It's going to be like playing Liverpool this at weekend. He is going to have them revved up beyond belief. The crowd are going to be on our backs. It's going to need mentality. It's going to need character, this game. If we're going to get a draw out of it, I'm fearing this game. Seriously, I am. Because I know what's coming. I know what Gerrard's like. I know what he's going to do. For me, you have to change it. You have to look at it. You can't get involved in this. You can't get involved in this battle this weekend. It's not going to work for us. We haven't got it. It's not there. You have to control the game. Controlling the game brings Donny and Matic both into it. Interesting that Rangnick picked up on controlling the game more when Donny came on the pitch the other day. Good sign, because he very rarely backs out of what he says. When he bigs something up, you usually see something happen on the pitch or a change. So I think Donny could actually start a game. It's a big, big shout. I know. It's a very big shout. Van der Beek starting a game.
You've fallen into the trap again, Adam.
This is it. I'm running out of options unless he converts something or unless he changes his shape. But I don't think we can out-battle Aston Villa. They simply can't do it. We haven't got the players. He's already talked about a profile of player that he hasn't got. He's admitted that he hasn't got what he wants. The physicality, he's never going to be there with this squad. We haven't got that player. Donny gives us a little bit more control and a bit of physicality. I mean, the way he threw himself around in the Watford game was promising. But what you're going to get is that atmosphere. Let's not forget, this is Aston Villa's first chance of their fans seeing Manchester United. We've been behind closed doors twice at Villa Park when they've been back in the Premier League. It's the first game back. They're going to be on it. They've got Gerrard. They've got Coutinho coming in, Luca Dino. The vibe is going to be upbeat. They are a club on the rise. If you haven't got the character and you haven't got the mental strength to handle this game, you're going to get smashed by about, well, I expect them to beat us 3-0 if we aren't up for this. But you've got to have confidence in your game. You have to be on it. And you know what? There's no room for wimping out of this one. Get on the ball, play your football. And it's the only way you're going to get anything out of this game. You're not going to win that battle. It's not in this team. We haven't got Ronaldo who's going to throw himself at anything. We haven't got the forwards that are going to go steaming into the challenges. They are full of fighters, and that's how they pretty much dominated our midfield the other day. Scott McTominay out of this team, I would say he's the only muscle we've got in midfield. Matic isn't a battler. Do you know what I mean? It has to be different. There has to be a different approach. We have to try and control the game. We have to own the ball. It's going to be difficult. I know McGinney's out, which is a bit of a bonus because he's been a thorn in our side. With him being suspended, it does give us a bit of help. Yeah, he's suspended apparently. So Coutinho's going to come in. that's going to change the way they play a little bit. So for me, yeah, Dallo again on that one note, 100% our best right back right now. I would play. It could be either one of Lindelof and Jones. I'm sort of swaying towards Jones like Kev is, because I just feel like we need that aerial presence that I think Jones has got over Victor Lindelof. Forward line, I think we're going to go with Ronaldo and Cavani again. I do. I see it being the same one. I see Sancho and Bruno both starting this game.
Cavani, doesn't he?
Yeah, so I don't see Rashford starting, and I don't see Greenwood starting this game. I just don't.
I think it's going to be Bruno and Sancho in midfield.
Yeah, I do.
Well,
I do.
To be fair, I do like Bruno and Sancho, and with Donny and Matic behind them, it could be a midfield that could actually possibly win some battles in there. Because I was looking at our midfield last time in the FA Cup, Aston Villa versus our midfield, and I was like, do you know what? I'd probably take Aston Villa's midfield over that midfield right there. Like our midfield was depleted compared to theirs. I mean, they play 4 in midfield, and you could tell they literally just glided through us. We're completely overrun. So to have that midfield structure there, allow Dallo and Shaw to get up the flanks and get crosses in the box to Cavani and Ronaldo, that's probably one of our safest options, especially looking at how out of form our forwards are at the minute. We've got a super chat here saying, Donny's tackling is also underrated. I agree. I think Donny puts in a very good tackle, to be honest, when I see him play. I think that is an underrated part of his game.
I was going to say, did anyone put Harry Maguire in the team? Sorry, Levin.
No.
No one did. And I think that shows a lot.
I just wanted to make that point. Interesting point.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say, I think people are sort of missing the point around what Rangnick was trying to say when he was talking about control, because, you know, our midfield got overrun in that game, not just because it was McTominay and Fred versus John McGinn and Jacob Ramsey. Our midfield got overrun because it was McTominay and Fred versus John McGinn, Jacob Ramsey, Douglas Luiz, and Emi Buendia, who was dropping in. It was a 4v2. Regardless of whether we played Donny and Matic, Fred and McTominay, Fred and Pogba, regardless of who it is, you're not ever going to be able to control a game when it's 2 players up against 4, 3. When there's any sort of numerical advantage to the other team, especially when you have quality.
The transition. You control a game by transition, and Fred hasn't got a transition in him. Him and McTominay can't pass the ball. You look at the possession of both teams, it's very, very similar. You know what I mean? In most of the game, we just can't use the ball.
Can't maintain possession.
You can take pressure off and control the game by scoring a goal. But if you haven't got 100%. A midfield to pass to your forwards, then you can't control the game. It's as simple as that. They're not good enough in possession.
100% that's important, Adam. But when you actually look at even the quote you're going from where he's talking about Donny, he actually specifically says when we added 3 with Donny, right? Rangnick himself is talking about the numbers in midfield, right? He's talking about when we had 3 in the midfield with Donny, that's when we had control.
I'd drop Bruno into there, yeah.
Okay, regardless, I don't think, my point isn't about the actual personnel. Whoever you want to play, cool. Yeah. But you can't play a double pivot in this game against Aston Villa and have control. Whether it's Matic and Donny, regardless of who it is, you won't. And Rangnick himself acknowledged that in the press conference.
You can if you drop someone in, Levin, like you said.
Players can drop deeper, and I also think the way that we can't maintain possession, giving away the ball, allows them to pounce and overrun very quickly. We struggle to pass the ball through the midfield quite a lot of time as well, which doesn't help. And the positions of the forwards players a lot of the times aren't great, and that doesn't help either. But 100%, when you've got 4 against 2, it's always going to be a struggle. But at the same time, people need to be more positionally aware as well. I mean, I'm looking forward to watching Manchester United play, but I'm not confident that we're going to get a win here. I'm not even confident we're going to get a draw. I think we were very lucky on Monday, and I think when we're there at home, it's going to be a different story. So I'm going to get all the score predictions now, just to see how confident we all are about the game. Kev, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, cheers.
Come on, you got to be positive. You're going to be positive here. What do you reckon it's going to be? Important game for Manchester United if we are looking towards top 4, which we should be.
I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, especially being at Villa Park. I thought they caused us problems. I'm just going to be ridiculous again and go for a Manchester United win 2-1. Don't ask me why. I really hope that this week, I'm not going to say the bad press, just the comments that have come out of Manchester United, the comments from Ronaldo, another week of training, that hopefully, this game plan and this Rangnick idea of whatever of playing football might just be getting through to some of these fixed goals, and it might just hit home. It would just be great to get some kind of a performance. I honestly can't remember the last time we've had a performance. Do you know what? I can take getting beat, even if I could see some kind of game plan or how he wants to play football. But yeah, both would be nice. But yeah, 2-1 United. Of course, I'm being positive.
Yes, Kev, we've got one win there. Adam, you're going to be making the journey down. I hope it's worth it. I hope it's worth it for you. What are you expecting? What kind of game are you expecting to see? And what score prediction have you got for us?
I've gone with 2-0 to Villa.
Nice
not
and
being no, it's it. Like Kev said, I want to see signs. I just, from what I've seen, I just don't expect United to win this game. But I'm looking for an improvement. I'm just looking for any snippet. I feel positive in saying that, but as long as I see a performance and I can actually see something being worked on, that's all I want to see from this now. I'm looking at this in the long haul. I just know that what's going to come to us on Saturday is too much for where this squad mentally are at right now. I know what Steven Gerrard is going to. I know everything that he's going to throw at us. It'd be like playing Liverpool this weekend, put it that way. That's what it's going to be like, the way he'll have them G'd up. And I just don't think we're quite there mentally. I think we're seeing snippets of improvement. I'm actually really impressed with the defence at the moment. So I'm actually confident that we can still be in the game, but I just feel like the pressure will be too much and we're just not firing to relieve that pressure on the defence. So that's why I've gone with 2-0 Villa, but I'm not saying that in a negative way. I just want to see these players start. I just want to see something. You know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at? I just want to see that little bit, like Kev said. I want to see, but I'm just being real, that's all, with the scoreline. I'm not putting red-tinted glasses on. I just think Villa are in a better place. They're buoyant. And it's just going to be one of them games. If he plays Maguire, night-night.
I mean, they've also had 2 great signings come in as well, which doesn't help. So we'll just have to... Luca Dean, I don't know if he'll play on Saturday, but Coutinho should probably be playing. And yeah, I agree with you on the Maguire fact. I don't think he should come back in, but I think he will. We'll have to wait and see. Levin, your score prediction for us?
I'm thinking 1-1. I think it's going to be hard. I think we'll probably do a better job of controlling the game, just because we're going up against Villa again and we've had the benefit of playing them. And I think it's clear as day what the issues were in terms of controlling the game. We didn't have enough bodies in midfield. Our fullbacks weren't aggressive enough defensively. The back line was too deep, so there was way too much space between the lines for Villa's players to pick up the ball and play. And I think if we work on those things, we will have more control and it will be a better game for us. But at the same time, when you look at some of the players who are missing around the pitch, as much as I like Matic and he gives us more control in possession because he keeps the ball well in defensive transition, once they get the ball and they're running at us, I don't trust Matic, right, at all, right? And same with Fred, where Fred physically, he's not as dominant enough, right? He had problems against Villa. Of course, they don't have McGinn, which helps us, but I still think even with improvement from the Villa game early in the week, we probably still will run into some problems there. So I'm going 1-1.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Villa have got revenge to get on us. They won't be happy with the way it ended. They won't be happy with the VAR. They won't be happy that they walked away from Old Trafford going out of the FA Cup. And after our performance, they will definitely believe that they can beat us. And they've got Steven Gerrard, who will also want revenge and will definitely not want to lose two games in a week to Manchester United. So it's going to be a hard game. It's always going to be a hard game for us at the minute, knowing with the way we're playing. But hopefully we manage to get a result out of it and we move on and hopefully we'll see improvements and we can eventually get top 4. But I mean, it's hard to look past and get positive at the moment. I know that 100%. But thank you everyone for coming on and thank you very much for watching the show. Hopefully, we'll all witness a decent game. Adam, hopefully your travels won't be for nothing and we get a good result at the weekend. But thank you guys, as always, for commenting, for getting involved with the show. Make sure you like and subscribe. And it is the end of the show and hopefully we get the result on Saturday.